encourage you to have uncomfortable conversations on hot topics with people who don't share your same beliefs. Your host, Sabrina Protic, Dr. Katrina Esau, and Gary Rogers. Now let's get ready to have that conversation. Uncomfortable Conversations is powered by the Trendsetter Mentor Group, an exclusive membership for mentorship on Facebook.
Welcome, and good afternoon to all of you, our viewers around the world, to Uncomfortable Conversations. My name is Sabrina Protic, and I am a life and financial coach and author of the book, Growing Ageless, Think Young and Live Younger. With me, I have my co-host today, Mr. Gary Rogers, who is a retired pro football player Canadian football player and founder of Check Your Game. Gary, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you feeling?
I feel good, Sabrina, and I just love getting on these shows with you. You got a great personality, always smiling, uplifting, encouraging, and I know this isn't about you, but I love being on the show with you.
Well, likewise. And, we're going to talk about something pretty serious today, and I know you're ready for this. We want to again thank our viewers for tuning in. And of course, Gary, our mission each week, and you and I talk about this all the time, what do we want to bring to our audience? Well, we want to encourage, enlighten, and empower our viewers on some of the most uncomfortable topics around the world. And today is very uncomfortable, but it must be something that we talk about. We're talking about a social issue today. Gary, we have a pivot from our trending topic. Last week we talked about sports and esports, the whole gaming side. But today is going to be a different type topic, and how to hashtag Stop Asian. It's called hashtag Stop Asian. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and what this means. Gary, I want to share something with you and our viewers. Recently, a 68-year-old Sri Lanka man was riding the subway in Lower Manhattan on Friday when another passenger yelled a racial slur and punched him in the head, leaving him bloodied and in critical condition. Then on Saturday, a 66-year-old man of Asian descent was punched in the face in the Lower East Side. Then on Sunday came 3 more attacks, the police said. A woman of Asian descent was thrown to the ground in Midtown. Another was hit in the face with a metal pipe in Lower East Side. And a third was punched twice after these are women that are being attacked as well, attended a demonstration in Union Square in support of Asian American victims with her young daughter. Gary, what are your thoughts on these horrific crimes that are happening?
I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. Just hearing that, and of course I'm taking notes, and a pipe getting punched, just you've got the physical and then you've got the emotional, the slurs and, words can hurt actually more, our wounds can heal, but those words can stay with us forever, for a long time. And so it's not right, so I know we're focusing on the Asian, men and women from Asian descent, but, I think this goes, it's everybody. Lots of people are dealing with some kind of hate towards them for some reason. So whether or not you're Asian or not, I feel like everybody can learn about, just this thing about hate and treating people, the right way. And so I think the show really is going to be encouraging. Hopefully, I know it's not an easy topic, but hopefully it's encouraging and, of course, empowering and enlightening, because I'm getting enlightened right now.
Well, you and I talked about that. And yes, this news is news to me. But I want to ask you something, Gary. If you were having this uncomfortable conversation with your Asian friend concerning these events, What would you say to give comfort? I kind of know you. I kind of know how you respond. But if you were talking to an Asian friend of yours, what would you say to give comfort?
Well, first of all, I think what I would do is I would listen, because I don't know if I would just have answers. And I don't think that's what people need to do, is just have answers right away.
Mm-hmm.
I will listen. I would be a friend. I would ask them, hey, I'll spell the words out, Pray, since we can't talk religion. I spell it. I would ask them if I could do that for them. And I would just let them know, like, hey, by the way, call me, text me, anything that I can do for you. Let me help you. I want to encourage you. I don't think that's right, what you're dealing with. And I would want to do this with really anybody. I mean, I would just try to come alongside of them. And again, not coming up with a solution right away, but just, developing or getting a stronger relationship, and just, putting my time in their life and just encouraging them. And, there's some more steps I would do, Sabrina, but we won't go there quite yet.
Well, and it's okay, Gary. What I like is you would encourage them to go to a higher source, and everybody's higher source is different, but you would encourage them to go to that higher source where they find comfort and strength. So I really like your approach. We realize that hate is an open attack on tolerance and acceptance. It must be countered with acts of empathy, kindness, and goodness. Gary, we invited a thriving immigrant from Cambodia, Sarah M., author of the book, How I Survived the Killing Fields, to our show to have this uncomfortable conversation on racism in the Asian community, with the mission of listening, learning, and reflecting on the stereotypes and racial slurs and model minority myths that have been harvesting hatred and violence on our Asian communities for decades. Alan, this video tells the story. Would you play that?
Just a little bit of a disclaimer. We're going to be talking a lot about Asian hate and what's been going on over the past year, specifically more recently, and I do get very distressed in this, so I wanted to put in a trigger warning and also say that I've also listed a bunch of resources and people to follow for more information about this. I really didn't want to have to make another video, so let's talk about Asian hate crimes. In the UK alone, we've seen an increase of 300% in anti-Asian hate crimes since the pandemic has started. In the US, according to Stop AAPI Hate, there has been a reported 3,800 cases, and that's only the ones that have been reported. There was a shooting in Atlanta of a white gunman who specifically targeted 3 Asian-owned businesses. 8 people were killed, 6 of them were of Asian descent, Asian women, and the police chief said that it wasn't a racially motivated attack, and that the gunman had a very bad day, that he was at the end of his rope and he wanted to eliminate the temptation from a possible sex addiction. And seeing comments online about people then saying, oh, well, they're saying it's not a racially motivated attack, so stop making this about race. The fact that this man are viewing Asian women as a source of elimination for his potential sex addiction, seeing Asian women as what the stereotypes perpetuate of being weak, docile, submissive, disposable. This is about race. Stop telling us that this isn't about race and this isn't about anti-Asian hate crimes. In the media, Asian women have always been hypersexualized, fetishized. They've been labeled as being exotic. And because of these stereotypes being continuously represented, people feel like they're entitled to our bodies. People view us as a piece of meat. People view our bodies as something to conquer, something that they are entitled to and have a right to do with what they want, what they please. They view us as being something can be tossed aside once they're done. This isn't anything new. This has always been happening, but we've been seeing an increase of hate crimes were reported since the pandemic has started, because it's been made worse by comments such as the Kung flu, the China virus, bat eaters. And to the people who I see commenting saying things like, stop making this about race, he said it wasn't racially motivated, and that we're expected to almost justify what he's done, I'm also saying that as Asians we deserve the same amount of respect, and that we're human too, and that we need to stop Asian hate. So where's that same amount of energy? Where's the same belief? Where's the same amount of effort and energy to believe what we're saying? This isn't just happening to Asian women. We've seen reports of these attacks happening to the elderly as well, and then be specifically targeted. There was a new report yesterday of an elderly woman who was punched in the face. We've seen people being murdered, and every day we live in fear, thinking, am I going to be part of that statistic soon? Are my loved ones, are my family members, are my friends? Every day I'm panicking about the world opening up. I'm feeling so conflicted about where I can and cannot go, how to make myself look less easy target to be attacked. Every time my family or friends go for their walks, I'm panicking inside, just thinking all the things that could be happening to them, of people viewing them as being women and being easy to target. I don't know what else we can do and what else we can say for people to take us seriously, and for people to recognize what's been going on and to help us, and to stand in solidarity and to support us, and to condemn these attacks as being hate attacks and hate crimes. So humiliating to have to be on the receiving end of comments of fear, of being so anxious, of just wanting to be treated with respect and treated like a human being and treated like we belong here too. I'm just sick and tired of people picking and choosing who they support and what their anti-racism should include. I'm sick and tired of people saying that this is a compliment to be able to be fetishized. Sick and tired of people saying you can't say anything these days without someone getting offended. Sick of people denying us of our existence and of our experiences. And sick and tired of Asian hate crime happening and having to wake up every morning hoping that there isn't going to be another report. Because it doesn't get easier talking about these things. People always think, oh, you're so brave for speaking out about this stuff. I don't want to have to speak about this stuff. But I don't know what else that we can do. We feel so helpless. It's hard knowing who to speak to, what to talk about. And I feel stupid for even sitting here crying about it, because I don't feel like I'm speaking about it eloquently as I should, and I'm not doing this and giving this enough justice that it deserves. But please, we don't need your shock. We don't need you sending another message saying, I can't believe this has been happening. I didn't know racists against Asians exist. We don't need your shock. We need your support. We need your solidarity. We need you to stand with us. We need to know what you're doing to help to protect us as well. We need to stop Asian hate. I know that I've been very, very emotional in this video, so I'm also going to leave a bunch of resources in the description box below, and organisations to follow and to donate to. Please, please, please do check them out, follow them, read about it, talk to your private and public circles about this. Yeah, that's all I can say today.
Wow, that is very, very powerful. Welcome back to Uncomfortable Conversations. We have Sarah M. here with us today. Sarah, again, Thank you. Thank you for attending, Sarah, and for taking the time to come out and share your passion, purpose, and personal perspectives on this topic of Asian hate. Sarah, based on your personal life and that video that we just saw, what are your thoughts on this and this, what we call model minority myth, the stereotypes of Asian women being docile? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that people that don't understand the difference between individual and the group, so they just lump everybody in the group. Whatever they are angry at or about, they thought that all Asians contribute to this, to their un, unhappiness or hate. So I think it's so wrong that people do not look at each other individual. As an individual, I came here from a very troubled situation. My country was war torn. We did not come here because of just come to enjoy life here. We come here to find a rescue, to find a place to be safe. I think a lot of us come here because we believe this is a safe place to live. And we don't come here to bring all the problem here. And whatever problem that happen in the world, it's someone, maybe one or two people. Not all the Asian in the world will contribute to this. So I just want to caution everybody who commit this kind of crime. Please stop lump sum all of us together. You know, people from China are different from people from Cambodia, and people from Cambodia are totally different from people from Vietnam. So, but we are all Asian. We all have our own story, our own history, and we all have our own pain and suffering. And we cannot receive any more suffering from this country that we call peace. Why don't we together as an American show the peaceful place to the people that immigrate, that come here?
Sarah, have you seen, and thank you for clarifying that, the different groups, but when you come together, you're all Asian. Thank you for clarifying that because you were actually doing that with me before the show. But can you clarify with, just kind of shed a little light? There seems to be a target on Asian women, or this perception of Asian women. Have you seen that? What are your thoughts on that in this country?
I have not seen personally. I only heard through the news, of course. And I don't live in New York. So this crime happened in New York and happened in Atlanta. So it's so far away. But I know this crime happened. And we cannot ignore it. Because if we ignore the small and little, a few crimes that started, eventually it will grow. So this is a good time to talk about it,
Yes.
to do something together to stop this kind of crime. It's a horrible crime.
Yes, I'm going to agree with you. I was unaware of it, and so this is a good time. In that video, the point of her video was not to shock us. She ended that video asking for help. Like, how can we come together? What can we do? And so, like you said, Sarah, this is a good time for us to like, hey, this is happening. What do we do? Now, Sarah, there's something called a model minority myth. I don't know if you heard about this, called the model minority myth. And we've kind of talked about it today because it is a myth. Here's some myths. All Asians play violin, right? That's not true. Do you play violin?
No, I never hold a violin.
Or they're all like, smart, they're all these geniuses and, just really smart, brainiac people, I mean, so that's what they call model minority myths. And so they put you in this, and we just heard with the one guy who did the crimes on women. He said, well, it's because of his mind about women and Asian women. That's a myth. That was
Yeah.
in his head. So I'm sure you probably in your lifetime probably heard some things about Asians that's not true. It's just the things that people think about Asians. So, we want to kind of dispel that, and we want to say, I think you said it best. These are all people. These are all human beings. So, what are your thoughts on myths about what could be any culture, but we're talking about Asians? What are your thoughts on that, and have you run into that before?
What I thought about the myth, I think it's come from a place of uneducated, the place of the people that just make an assumption and stereotype. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the best word for it. It's
Mm-hmm.
stereotype any kind of group. That's wrong. That's wrong. You cannot say all women are this. No, that is totally wrong. The same thing if you say all women are smart, genius and have mathematical
Right.
genius.
Genius. Yes.
It it's wrong. Uh, we need to stop stereotype people.
You made a very good perspective and point. It boils down to education.
Mhm.
It boils down to us being educated. These myths basically propel a lot of the hate crimes and insurgents of hate crimes that we see, based on these myths and these ethnic groups, like you say, these groups of people. But in this conversation on racism, and you mentioned the word stereotype, Sarah, so you're right on point. It's not new. It's been around for a long time.
Mm.
But you've experienced extreme hate growing up in Cambodia during the killing fields. And we
Mhm.
did show your book, Sarah. We would just want to say again, she's the author of the book, How I Survived the Killing Fields. Great book. There's her book again, How I Survived the Killing Fields. And, we'll talk more how you can reach out to Sarah. She goes around and speaks on this and topics of empowerment, thriving and surviving. And that is really how we got connected, because she is a thriver and a survivor. But can you share briefly with our listeners what happened in your native country when you were attending college?
Of course, yes. Um, we are talking about the hate crime. That's
Yes.
what happened. That started the revolution in Cambodia. When I attend college, the communist regime took over our country. This communist group is also Cambodian group. You might be shocking to know that these are Cambodian because they hate the other group, because they hate the democracy. They want to control our country as a communist. So they come and they hate us because we are not communists. So they captivate all of us, put into their prisoner of war. They evacuate all the people from the city, push us to work in the right field, extremely hard, exhausted and starved. There are about 2 million people died within 4 years' time. So
Mm.
it started out from a hate crime, a hatred toward another group. We did not do anything to this communist group. We just live a normal life. I just attend college, and it's just like they lump sum all of us in one group. They have a name for us. So they punish us. they use us as the punishing tool to produce for them.
Hmm.
So, um, if you ever have a chance to read my story, you will know they kill the educated, they kill the people who have business, and these are innocent people. And they hated people that worked in the previous government. So that's that's what hate can create. Hate can create a very bad destruction and can destroy any country if we don't stop this kind of hate crime.
And I'd like our viewers to know that this is a real story. Sarah was right there as a girl growing up. She almost lost her life during that time. Her story is very compelling. She's a victim of this hate, and as she mentioned, in her own people. And she came close to not being with us, but she lived to tell the story. Very compelling. So she knows how deep hatred can go. And based on that, Sarah, and seeing what's happening now that you're being made aware of it, just like me, what are your thoughts on this? What's not being said? What do we need to know? You overcame that situation. You were able to escape and get out. But we're seeing this violence and hatred all over the world today. Various different cultures. We're talking about Asians, but what is it we need to know? What's not being said? What do you think?
Well, we said many things already, but what is not being said is that people are different. Each one of us are different. Don't group us together in one group. Don't stereotype us. So I think the education is part of it. We need to educate, to inform people about the difference between individuals, different between people from different countries, and the different about the background of us. We suffer enough from our own country. We don't need another tragedy in this country that we call a peaceful place.
Mhm. Sarah, and I'm going to agree with you on that when it comes to grouping people together. Sometimes we just look at the outside. We see certain features, oh, they're Asian. And so you may, in your mind, assume certain things or treat people a certain way just based on what you see. And I think what I'm hearing from you is don't group people together. Don't lump people together and come up with these stereotypes and these myths. We need to get to know people individually for who they are, not for that initial thing that we see, right, Sarah, and make these assumptions. We're making an assumption already about who they are.
Yeah.
I have to say, if I met you on the street and I never knew you, I wouldn't know that you lived in Cambodia under those times. I wouldn't know that you survived the killing fields. I wouldn't know that you speak on empowerment now and that you speak on thriving and surviving. I wouldn't know that about you. I wouldn't know that you've taken that experience in your life and turned it into something to help strengthen other people. I wouldn't know that if I just based on what I saw. And then if I allowed the perspectives of the world to influence me, maybe I would treat you a certain way that you didn't deserve. So you bring up very, very, very good point about grouping people together. So Sarah, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about your book, How I Survived the Killing Fields, and what lessons can be learned from that. We'll be right back.
Choice and opportunity, the foundation of the Capital Choice mission. We believe everyone has the choice to take control of their own financial independence, and we want to give more people the opportunity to achieve their goals. At Capital Choice, we help make financial wellness a reality, and you can be a critical part of the charge, a part of something bigger. Our associates are more than just salespeople to us. We're a team, a family that supports each other, and we have fun doing it. We want you to succeed. So we offer mentorship and training to help you get comfortable with the industry and serving clients. Our goal is to get you to a place of independence, to be in business for yourself. You choose how to grow, and we'll never take that away from you. Your business focus, how you build your team, how you serve clients, how high you climb, full-time versus part-time. The sky's the limit, and we'll be there for help and support along the way. At Capital Choice, we are passionate, empathetic, real. We give everyone equal opportunity, but you have the control and make the decisions. Want to see what you can achieve with more choice and opportunity? Join our team and find freedom with Capital Choice. Your business, your choice.
You get treated like a virus. You do. If you happen to look like us, they hurt. The weak, the old, the voiceless. They don't expect anything but silence from us.
Have you ever had a translate to mom and dad? Racist words, agents slurs, targets on their backs. Have you folks told you to just walk away? Let it go, it's okay, it's always been that way. There's no official language in the USA. No one can tell you to speak English or go away. We're all immigrants unless you're indigenous. So when you're told to go home, tell them either way. We have been translating all our lives. Their bills, taxes are protected lies. Words hurt lives, our foes are threatened with knives. Our voice is the only thing they have to fight. So speak up, stand together, stop the hate. Speak up, stand together, stop the hate.
Treated like a virus. You do. If you happen to look like us, they hurt. The weak, the old, the voiceless. They don't expect anything but silence from us.
Speak up, stand together, stop the hate. Speak up, stand together, stop the hate. Speak up, stand together, stop the hate. Speak up, stand together, stop the hate.
Whew, that's powerful, Sarah. That's the first time I seen that. What about you?
Me too. I haven't seen that.
Ooh, I tell you, that's an awareness, and you could feel the pain. I mean, there's a message there of pain. I had no idea. Did you? I just didn't know. I didn't know. So welcome back to Uncomfortable Conversations. We have Sarah M., author of the book, How I Survived the Killing Fields. And we're having this uncomfortable conversation today with Gary and myself as well, along with Sarah. And we want to talk to Sarah a bit, Gary and I, on what inspired you to write the book and what can we learn from it?
Thank you for that question, Sabrina. What inspired me to write the book is that people didn't know. When I casually share my little story to a friend, and they say, "Oh, I have no idea," and my story inspired them. So I want people to know what happened to us. What happened to our country? What did this Klarus communist group did to our country? They destroyed us. Now 45 years later, our country still struggles to rebuild. It takes so much to rebuild our country. So that's the reason why I want to write this book, to let people know.
Sarah, was it hard for you to write the book?
Definitely. For 40 years, I push everything back into the back of my mind. I don't want to think to remember anything about it. So when the time that I decided to write, I could not remember the name, the place, and everything. Everything was in the fog because I want to forget. I don't want to remember this. But it's necessary for me to write it down, to share this experience. And my hope is that this experience will help people, because just put it this way: if I can overcome, if I can survive this horrific experience, everybody can survive their own killing field. You may not be in Cambodia, you may be in United States, but you are living in your own killing field. So I want my book to be a strength, a source of hope that you can do it. So that's my goal.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to go to Gary for a minute. Gary, you have a vehicle called Check Your Game, where you encourage people to write their stories. Can you share for a minute how powerful it is for someone to write their story? What is the purpose of that? And how, now that you see what Sarah's done, the therapy that comes from that, can you kind of weigh in on that a little bit?
Yeah, I would love to, and thank you. And good morning, Sarah. Good afternoon. It's nice to hear your voice and to learn more about you. Yeah, I'm just taking notes, and I'm processing a lot of this. Sharing stories. I hear you, Sarah. It took you 40 years to kind of like, you just didn't want to share. It's like the harder this adversity I think people have dealt with in their life, the harder it is to want to share, right? But I know, and you could probably attest to this, but just to go back and to be able to do this and to be able to process some of the things that have happened in your past and to reflect on how you came out of it, I'm sure was so healing. But also there's a bunch of components to that. But also, so you process this in your mind, then you write it down, and then you share it with the world. And as I'm saying this, I'm getting chills because I'm thinking you are just encouraging people, like you said, to share their own story of how they can survive being in their own killing field, whether it's, it's not going to be the same situation as you dealt with, but, in our own lives, some of these things are just really difficult. It's the most difficult thing we've ever dealt with. There's so many different types of adversity. And so it's all kind of like on the same level. And so you're basically, just to know that you're using your story to empower others to reflect on their life and to be able to share their story. And what you're doing, Sarah, is you're serving. You're thinking about others as opposed to yourself. You're giving back to society. You're giving a lemon of your life to help others drink lemonade. And so I just have seen, as far as people sharing their story on Check Your Game, people share, different types of stories of adversity. And I know there's a healing process, and I'm not a psychologist, but, just reading psychology, I know there's this healing process that takes place with individuals, but there's so many people that are able to be encouraged, not just for the storytellers, but also for those that are the recipients of your story. And I'm looking forward, Sarah, to and I loved what you said. I'm going to reiterate that. You said, if I can overcome, anyone can survive their killing fields. And I think that's really powerful. This is just a real encouraging thing. This is for all people. Everybody's got a story. And, I love to be able to share the stories of you. Sarah and Sabrina has just shared her story recently about losing her job after 41 years. And other people have, dealt with situations of anything and everything. And so, anyway, I'm appreciative of you sharing this, Sarah, and just love what you're saying, and love that you've come out on this other side and that you're using something bad to be something good and to be able to impact thousands of people.
Gary, that's awesome. And I knew he'd weigh in on that because he actually helps people share their story. Yes. And so he knows that you had to dig deep. Sarah, speaking of digging deep, so as now you're being made aware of some of these crimes or these hate actions. I'm going to call them hate actions against Asians. Does this kind of take you back? And how do you stay positive? Because some things can trigger things. So as you're watching this, even I was watching that video of that guy when he turned around and he looked directly at the screen and he said, stop the hate. I mean, I felt that when he was saying it, because you could feel his pain just watching this, even though it's not, maybe he hasn't been a victim of it. So as you're watching the current events, is this taking you back now? And how do you stay positive with what's happening today?
Well, thank you for that question. It's challenging to answer that, but I can say that I don't allow anything to trigger the bad memory. I look at my life, I only choose what was the blessing, what I'm grateful for. So I know the bad thing happened to me, but there are so many things that I can select and say, look, at least I still have my life. It's at least my family is still alive. At least they didn't kill me. At least I didn't get beat up. And so that's how I look at how I overcame the bad memory. I'm just choose to find something precious, something wonderful about it. Although it's not glamorous, living in this the killing field for 4 long years, it was a lot of miserable things. But I choose not to go back to that. I choose to pick the best part of it. It's my gratitude, my faith, my grateful for God for being there in my life.
I like that. So you're choosing to focus on the gratitude and the positive, even though these are painful things.
Mhm.
Again, you're showing us that it's a choice on the things that we dwell on.
Mhm.
And with that thought in mind, I'm going to go to Gary. Gary, do you have any questions for Sarah?
Sarah, I was taking some notes. Of course, I love taking notes, and you're talking about how you stay positive. I know I think you said something about, of course, you're thankful for all these positives in your past, and that's awesome. I thought I heard you say something about the grace of God. Was that right?
Yes.
Are you able to share more about what that means to you?
Oh, yes, I will. Um, I grew up in the Buddhist family, but somewhere in my childhood, I heard a story, and that story gave me an indication that there is bigger God than Buddha. So I hold on my belief in that and that thinking that yes, there is God. He's bigger. So when my life was in trouble, when I was extremely sick, I was about to die. People around me was dying every day, and I was extremely sick. But I don't want to die. And I want to survive so that I can go and find my family.
Mm.
And that's when I grabbed on. I thought about my thought about God. I said, well, He is the biggest God. He's more powerful than Buddha. So I cry out to God and I pray. I ask Him to help me to survive. So yes, I know that there is God, but I didn't know exactly how He is, who He is. But eventually, now that I'm here, I found out who that God is. So when I look back in the rear mirror, I realized that this powerful God was with me all along.
Wow.
Thank you, Sarah and Starina. I know I'm not supposed to go down a certain road, certain path, but Sarah mentioned it, and so I just listening to her, and it sounded like that was an important part of her life. And you know what? When we get to a place, and I haven't been to a place where somebody is about to kill me, and I've never been in a place of like these extreme things that are going on in my life. And I know when that kind of stuff happens, I feel like everybody, they're all, you've got to open up your mind. Like, I need help, and individuals can't help me. And God, if you're out there, which I believe, and sounds like Sarah and Sabrina, but if you're out there, I need help. Help me. It's like you get to this humbling moment, Sarah, when you're like, there's nothing else. You don't have any choice but to reach out to the God of the universe. And I just wanted to ask, since you brought that up, but I'm finished, Sabrina.
Well, and you know what? We want to respect all of our viewers. And so I'll use the term higher source because, everybody has a higher source. And I think the question was, where did you go to for your strength? And you're right. Sometimes not you. So she just said, yeah, there's a higher source. So we respect all of our viewers and listeners, to whoever that is and whatever that is. That's where Sarah had to draw her strength and her comfort from. And we're so glad she's here with us today to share her story. And we're going to go to break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about this. Thank you.
Uncomfortable Conversations Talk Radio is sponsored by the Trendsetter Mentor Group, an exclusive membership for mentorship. You can follow all our hosts on Facebook. Search Trendsetter Mentor Group and join. Now back to the show.
We stand with our Asian brothers and sisters. Stop Asian hate.
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 Stop the Asian hate.
Stop Asian hate.
Stop Asian hate. Because an injustice to one of us is an injustice to all of us.
Wow. I mean, that is powerful. Again, stop Asian hate. I just had no idea. I just want to say that again. Welcome back to Uncomfortable Conversations. Sarah, if you had the opportunity to speak to a group of world leaders, now, they do this on the Miss America stage. So here's your question. You're on the stage. You just got crowned Miss America. So Sarah, if you had a chance to speak to a group of world leaders on a topic of systemic racism and stereotyping against Asians, what are the lessons that you would want them to learn from these events? Got your crown on now, Sarah. You won Miss America. You get to answer that question before the world, before the universe. So
I would talk about the topic of respect humanity as an individual. We are all an individual. No matter where, what country, what race we are in, we are unique. We are created uniquely. So don't lump some people together. Don't stereotype. Don't hate one group and love one group. Just love for humanity.
And that's powerful. We often think about what we could do to make changes. So that question was more centered around, imagine if you had the power to talk to the person that could make a change, to talk to these world leaders. What would you say? What would you ask of them? And I think that's great, individuality, but that's got to be pushed out some kind of way, so we got to think about I'm going to throw that out to Gary Rogers for a minute. Gary, how would we push it out? So now Sarah's in front of these world leaders and she's saying, look, we need individuality. We need to work on not grouping people together. And a short reply, Gary, what would be one way we could push that out?
I'll give you the shortest reply of all the shows I've done. Use the word in your life. SERVE. Serve.
Wow. I love it. I absolutely love that. So get involved. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that was short. I just will continue.
Give me a little bit on that, Gary. Give me a little bit
more. Yeah, the serve is really, it's thinking about others and not yourself. It's asking questions about others, not talking about yourself. It's finding out what others are, what their interests, their families, their work, their needs. It's taking an interest in other people. It's developing a relationship with others. And like Sarah says, it's getting to know an individual, and who they are, where they come from, what they've experienced. And so it's really just about developing this relationship. And when I say serve, all I'm saying is you got two choices. One is to serve, think of others, and the other is to be served. And that's thinking about yourself. And I feel like all the things, all the issues that we all see around the world, all those things that are bad, that are happening, that are bad, it's from people that are serving themselves. They're serving themselves. They care about their own needs, their own problems, what they can do about it. And so, okay, sorry, I'll stop there.
You got, I know. You like a little toy. We wind him up, he can go. Thank you, Gary. Thank you. I want to throw something out there. So, Sarah, we focused on the Asian and your background in Cambodia. We look at COVID-19. We look at some of the intensities. That alone has caused people to feel more stress, more anxiety. We had Black Lives Matter last year. Now we got the Asian. So we're seeing different cultures under attack. And actually now I'm finding that a lot of Asians are being escorted maybe to their homes, especially some of the elderly for their safety. And there's rallies in Oakland and in New York, protests and all this violence that's going on. But we do see some communities rising up to help people. So we got different cultures of people under attack. What are your thoughts on the unity and solidarity that exists? Because we know there's bad, but there's also good. We got solidarity, we got people reaching out to help. What are some of your thoughts on that?
I think there are a lot of kind people out there. Although there are only a few individuals that choose to hate, choose to hurt others, but there are millions of people in this country that still love, still a kind person, and express their love for other people. And I think if we use that love as our vehicle of treating other people, we can create a safe environment for our country.
I love that. The word short, sweet, Gary, is love, right?
Yeah.
That's the word. Go ahead, Gary.
It's short and sweet, but it's true. When I think about serving, that's loving somebody, when you're taking an interest in them. And you know what? There's some information about that word love, and that's like a number one thing that Sarah was looking to in her last story. I don't want to bring that up again, but as far as who she looked to, that her source, her higher source, says to love. That's an important thing.
It is. So we're talking about our communities and how we want to bring this on a positive note, that there is solidarity out there. There are communities that are rising to the occasion. We've got people like Sarah that's speaking out about her experience to empower and uplift and enlighten people. And she said it herself. We all have our killing fields. But now, how do we deal with that? How do we overcome that? So we want to uplift and acknowledge the positivity in our communities. And Sarah, you just said it too. This Asian hate really is a minority situation that's happening. It's not like it's the entire world against, the Asian population. We have a segment of our society, but we do have some good segments of our society that's working towards the good, that wants to offer help and encouragement and enlightenment and pull us together as one people. Sarah, how can people find you? How can we find you and reach out to you?
Sure, they can find me on my website, saraim.com, SARAIM.com. And you can email me, sarah@saraim.com, or you can Google me, Sarah M, inspirational speaker. You'll find I have Google my business account there. You can find my contact information, and you can give me a review as well.
We'd love that. If we can have her book up one more time, Sarah, where can they get your book from?
My book is available at saraim.com/book. SARAIM.com/book.
Right. How I Survived the Killing Fields. We might even see a movie come out of that soon. We're hoping. If anybody wants to cover Sarah's story and do a movie, she's open, but I think she may be on the, may have something going on with that. We're not certain, but very, very powerful. So we want to thank you for that, for, putting this message out. And Sarah is available to speak in the community, so reach out to her. What a powerful, powerful topic today. We've learned a lot. And we want to talk about something briefly as we close out our show. What can you do personally to fight racism against Asian Americans? Speak out if you witness a hate crime or an incident. Report the hate or incident to the proper authorities. Consider taking part in training. We talked about this education, training on hate. Check in with your Asian American peers. Learn about the history of Asian American discrimination. Advocate for awareness in your workplace. So there are things that we can do. And the first thing is education, as we've learned today, to become aware of these things and not to dwell on the negatives. We don't want to dwell on the negatives. We want to be aware of what's happening. But we want to think in an area of positivity and what we can do. We want to thank Sarah M. again for being on our show. We want to thank Gary Rogers for being on our show. Gary, how can people find you, sir?
My website is checkyourgame.com. And there are some different things you can check out. Click on life stories. And I think there's a picture of Sabrina right there on the first story. So you can read about her, go to her story. You can find her business card there as well. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll see Sarah on Check Your Game as well. That's a place of enlightenment, encouragement, and empowerment. So thank you. Again, I'm Sabrina Protic. I'm a life coach and a financial coach and author of the book, Growing Ages, Think Young and Live Younger. What we want to do is take this time to thank Sarah and Gary. We want to also thank Daryl A. Johnson, our show's producer, who from week after week bring these uncomfortable conversations to us so we can share our perspectives. These often are the things that people shy away from, these topics. They don't want to talk about it. Maybe they fear the other person's perspectives, or maybe our minds are so closed and shut down and we don't want to hear the other person's perspectives. But we encourage you to take time to think about the conversation before you have it, so that you dignify and respect the other person, and then you'll find that you get the same. Be open-minded, but these conversations have to be had. Oftentimes, putting them off is not the answer, because what happens is just become more explosive. So we're here with uncomfortable conversations each week. We want to thank our engineer, Alan Chafin, who makes it possible, and he jockeys all these things around. We want to thank him, SIBN Network, and we're here each week to bring you an uncomfortable conversation. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Bye.
You get treated like a virus. You do. If you happen to look like us, they hurt. So
never had to translate to mom and dad. Racist words, Asian slurs, targets on their backs. Have you folks told you to just walk away? Let it go, it's okay, it's always been that way. There's no official language in the USA. No one can tell you to speak English or go away. We're all immigrants unless you're indigenous. So when you're told to go home, tell them either way. We have been translating all our lives. Their bills, taxes are protected lies. Words hurt lives, our foes are threatened with knives. Our voice is the only thing they have to fight. So speak up, stand together, stop the hate. Speak up, stand together, stop the hate.
Treat it like a virus. You do. If you happen to look like us, they hurt the weak, the old, the voiceless. They don't expect anything but silence from us.
Speak up, stand together, stop the hate. Speak up, stand together, stop the hate. Speak up, stand together, stop the hate. Speak up, stand together, stop the hate.